Welcome to Increase, where it is my task to increase, illustrate, and inundate you with information, knowledge, and overall help cause you to think. And I'm your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr. Hey, thank you guys for joining us on Increase. Today we have so much to talk about. Oh man, so much to share. You know, today is what? April Fool's Day. And people like to do pranks and, tricks and everything. All in good fun, I hope, so to speak. We want to make sure that everything that we do is safe and that the people who we are pranking is people who are going to enjoy it, who's going to receive it. Me, myself, I'm not a big fan of pranks and things of that nature. I'm not into that kind of stuff. But those people who are, I'm not here to judge you or to even speak ill of what you want to do and how you want to enjoy yourself. As long as everything is done in good fun and that everything that is done in such a manner that it's respectful of people, you know, enjoy yourself, have fun. And so with that being said, I've always wondered, why do we celebrate April Fool's Day in the manner in which we do? I mean, because certainly we don't celebrate any other first of the month, I guess, unless, you're receiving something on that particular day. And I'd imagine that it's really not even about so much a celebration as it is more so you just happy that, whatever it is that happens on the first, is happening on time and you're able to do whatever you need to do. So I looked it up online and I'm on history.com. So to give you a reference of where I'm reading from. And it just simply, it's talking about April Fool's Day, because again, that's what I was looking up. And it says April Fool's Day, celebrated on April 1st of each year, has been celebrated for several centuries by different cultures through its exact origins, though its exact origins remain a mystery. April Fool's Day's tradition include playing hoaxes or practical jokes on others, often yelling April Fools at the end to clue in the subject of the April Fool's Day prank. While its exact history is shrouded in mystery, the embrace of April Fool's Day jokes by the media and major brands has ensured the unofficial holiday's long life. And so it talks about it, it goes And a little bit of history. Back in 1582, when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as called for by the Council of Trent in 1563. So I'm kind of speculative of the dates. If it says the date backs to this and it's, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I guess in the way of looking at things. Um, it says in the Julian calendar, as in the Hindu calendar, the new year began with the spring equinox around April 1st. People who were slow to get the news or failed to recognize that the start of the new year had moved to January 1st and continued to celebrate it during the last week of March through April 1st became the butt of jokes and hoaxes and were called April Fools. These pranks included having paper fish placed on their backs and being referenced as a Poseidon Devar or April fish, said to symbolize a young, easily caught fish and a gullible person. So I'm guessing, just reading off that little bit, I guess you could say that when you do these April Fool's Day pranks, that you're really calling them a gullible person. And I can see that. A lot of times we really don't think that a person is going to pull a prank or is going to do some of the things that they do. And so I'm guessing, a lot of times we would just be gullible to it. You're kind of just like, oh, hey, goof off, so to speak. But even in the midst of all of that, we want to make sure that, again, the pranks, the jokes, whatever, that is done tastefully. And make sure that, the people who do it are going to enjoy it back, because there's nothing like when you tell a joke and people don't get it, or you pull a prank and that person either gets hurt or really doesn't like it, and it causes some kind of animosity towards you and that person. So, anything and everything that you do, you want to make sure that you're doing it to a level and to a place where the other person is going to enjoy it just as much as you are. So again, today's the first, but then it's also Friday. And this is episode 17. So we've done this 17 times, and each time I do it a little bit different because I'm really trying to find my legs. I'm really trying to see exactly what sort of things I like and I dislike. And I'm really having fun with it. I'm really having fun interacting with people on who are watching this via YouTube or even Facebook. But also, I'm just enjoying the process of learning and having to see areas where I want to improve upon and areas where I want to stop and change. I was listening to myself earlier, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't realize I say this so much," or I didn't realize I do this sort of thing on every episode. So, I want to make sure that I'm putting out a quality product and making sure that no matter what, I'm having fun with it, because truly, it's really not about perfection. It's about growing and just really having fun. And I love, having these conversations with people, sharing my thoughts, sharing the wisdom that I have, and then even receiving it from people just the same. I'm not just a person who wants everyone to listen to, but I really like listening to people just the same. And it's with that same vein that we're going to begin to talk about this today. And that's, are you really listening? Are you really listening? Like, when people are talking to you, are you really listening? When your children are talking to you, and I say anyone, but I want to break it down even further. Like when your spouse, your children, people on your job, your employees, people you go to church or temple with or the mosque with, are you really listening to what they're saying? And oftentimes I've learned that people get listening and hearing mixed up when it comes to communication. When you think about relationships, when you think about people, you oftentimes really think about not only, as a person listening or hearing you, but also more than anything is, are we effectively communicating? And that's really what I want to get down to, especially you who are leaders in whatever capacity, whether you're a church leader, whether you're, the leader of your home or your business, whatever, you're trying to be the leading voice in radio or in television or whatever. I want to speak to you and begin to say and ask you the question, how effective is your communication? Because a lot of times we think just because we're talking and a person regurgitates what we have said, that some kind of way that they're listening, that they understand or they hear, but are they really listening to what you're saying? Like, you hear me, as in you recognize the words that are coming out of my mouth, but are you listening to understand, or are you listening to respond? And I hope I'm making this real clear and simple, because I'm going to break it down even further. But I think that's even where the breakdown is when it comes to the information that we receive. A lot of times we hear a thing, but we don't listen to what is being said. I was talking to someone earlier, and it just came, the Lord just said, listen to what they have to say. And when I began to really listen, I was able to go down this like proverbial, rabbit hole, and really understand this person in a better light. And I was talking with my wife about this on last night, and I really began to look at it and go, this is why I believe this is why a lot of men don't understand to a greater capacity their spouse, their wives. It's because we hear them, and then here's the other thing, we understand to a point. And so I think that if we continue to communicate, talk, have conversation, then we'll begin to be able to be at a better place of understanding a person, understanding where they're coming from, right? Because that's truly the name of the game. I think if we understood each other more and not try to control people, I think society could get, we could get so much more accomplished. We could get so much more accomplished if we stop trying to manipulate people. You know, just come into the conversation, come into the relationship like, this is what I want, this is what I need. And then you just let the chips fall how they may. I know it's not a popular message, especially in today's time when everyone is, wanting their own, they're so quick to cut people off, and I don't want to deal with you anymore. But I honestly believe if we are to be effective human beings in this world, we have to be able to better communicate. And I think the first area it comes from is listening. So I looked it up, right? And by definition, I want to go with hearing first. It is hearing in communication, in conversation, is defined by saying as hearing as the process, function, or power of perceiving sound. And we know sound is energy and information. So it is the process, the function, and the power, the ability of perceiving sound. So it's almost as if, if to put it in layman's terms, like a dog starts to bark and you turn around to see what they're barking at. You don't know what, but you recognize the sound. You recognize the alertness in the voice, in the frequency of the bark. So I think a lot of times in communication with our spouses, with our children, a lot of frustration can be dissipated if we not only heard them, but listen to them. Because people are talking, but are we listening? People are sharing their pain, but are we listening? Like, that is so powerful to even think about. That hearing is nothing more than a process and a function, or the ability to perceive sound. That just says that you recognize it, but it stops really right there. There's no real in-depthness to it. It could also let us know that there may be some dysfunction. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't know. I want to make sure you can hear me. Okay. Um, dang, we've just been talking and not even hearing. Maybe I'll be able to extract the audio from here and place it on there. Um, so I think a lot of time, let's go back to it. Let's go back. So hearing is the process function or the ability of perceiving sound, and then listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. So I think a lot of times, and I think a lot of ways, um, right? I think people are hearing and they're really not listening. I think that a lot of times our breakdown in our communication is the reason why we're not listening is simply because in us having to listen, you now need to push out whatever barriers are there to stop you from um fully understanding. Like you may not agree, and I think a lot of times we stop listening when we stop agreeing. We stop listening to people when we stop agreeing with them. The moment they say something that we don't agree with, we don't like it, it hurts our feelings, it makes us feel some kind of way. You're in a place where you're having to deal with multiple emotions. I think a lot of times we just stop listening. I don't think that we actually put any more effort into anything else that's going on. Because if that was the case, a lot of times we wouldn't be so angry. And we wouldn't attack. And when I say angry, meaning that we won't be angry at the person because we understand where they're coming from. Now, we still may not agree with them, but I think a lot of times our listening is 90% predicated on our agreement of it. Like, if you don't agree with them, then you just stop listening. You just start tuning them out. And I think that's why I said what I was saying earlier is that I don't think that just because people say, well, this is what you said, or am I hearing correctly when you say this, or am I understanding correctly? I think that's just really hearing, but I think the listening part comes in not only the response, but the ability to now go back and forth in a conversation like manner so that you can now begin to go, okay, you saying this, or are you saying this because of this? Really just digging deeper into the conversation, so that you can truly begin to give a proper answer or to go, you know what, I never thought about it this way. And I realized I really don't know enough about the subject to even speak on it. Right. I think a lot of, like, even for instance, all of these things that's been going on um with these celebrities and all of the conversation and things that they have going on. I think a lot of it is okay, well, it's out of my scope of practice. It's above me because I'm not in that arena. I'm not in that place wherein I have millions on the line. I'm not at that place right now wherein I'm in the public eye globally. I'm not there yet. I'm not there at that place right now where I can't go into Walmart because people are trying to get my autograph and take my picture. But by the same token, so then that means that now I need to limit my opinions about things concerning that. I say that even to members of churches and stuff, they have their feelings about leadership and about pastors and preachers and all this. And I always say to them, don't be so harsh on a preacher or harsh on a pastor or whoever, because you've never been there. And your job is a lot different than preaching. People are, you go to work and you could care less what your manager has to say because, at the end of the day, you did your job and you're out. Wherein with pastoring, you're dealing with the souls of the people, and you're going to see them again and again and again. And not only will they be, will you hear their voice and all of that, but there's no restrictions. There's not that barrier wherein, I'm just going to do my job and go, because you're serving God. And so a lot of times I think we speak so much into other people's lives just based off of things that we've heard, that if we would have listened, we would realize that this is really out of my scope. Like, I really should not be speaking on certain matters, no matter how strongly I feel about it, because it's out of my league. It's not something that I've ever dealt with. And that is one of the things wherein, we have the First Amendment that gives us the ability to say whatever we feel. Um, thank you. But it's also um something that you also have to be careful of, because the same eye and the same scrutiny and judgment that you have for others, you're going to also deal with those same judgmental eyes and voices. And so, are you listening? Are we really listening to our fellow man or our children, especially our children? It's easy to get frustrated because of things that they do, or directions that they take, that you want them to do something different. It's something else to listen to what they have to say. Each generation has had to struggle with something that was different than the previous generation. This generation is having to deal with their life being on constant display, whether they want it to be or not, because everyone has a camera and everyone has access to millions or billions of people on a global scale, as well as they have access to the internet, and one picture can be placed in on 1 million websites, and it's nearly impossible to destroy all of those copies, and then people can save them and keep them stored somewhere. So it's as if nothing that is done will ever be hidden. It'll always be somewhere, someplace. And so this generation is having to deal with something that the previous generation didn't. My generation, we didn't have internet like that. It being in development on a easier to access scale. But then we also had to deal with the transitioning of our parents, coming from the 50s and the 40s, um, as they lived the 60s and the 70s or whatever, or even, vice versa. And so they're coming from dealing with a generation that had to deal with a certain level of racism or oppression, or depression, or, recessions and things of that nature that has happened throughout history. And so each generation is having had to have dealt with something differently that the other generation didn't. But the one thing that was needed was someone to be a listening ear, so that they could take proper notes of what was truly going on. There was slang that was used in those generations that's not used now. And that those slang words gave culture and gave a voice to things that were happening in that era and in that time. And so often we only look at the trauma that we've seen. We don't look at what was actually being done around that time and why it was happening. And so we have generations of people who are not listening. And then it spills over into our relationships. And so we have spouses that we truly love and adore, but because there's so many barriers that are in front of us, you don't hear fully what they have to say. So you will recognize the pain in their voice, but you won't hear or to perceive or to ask the questions as to the origins of it. And sometimes the origin story won't be told in one sitting. You have to do it like how Marvel does their movies. You start out somewhere toward the middle end, and then you work your way backwards, and then you reveal the end. You have to look at things and really begin to go, there's something deeper there. There's something there.
even the way we rear our children, even the way we keep our houses clean or messy or whatever, or the way you cook, um, you'll find that it's rooted in something that you can't handle. And so I truly want to just say to you guys that look at who is talking around you and then begin to ask yourself, am I truly listening? Am I hearing what I want to hear? Am I focused on what is being said, or am I ignoring the obvious? Am I bypassing some things? Let me talk to my leaders. I want to talk to some leaders, to my entrepreneurs. Are you listening to your customers? Are you listening to your audience? Because you may have a great product, but you also have to listen at what they need, not what they say they want or what they think they need. Listen to the problem that they're trying to solve, and then work your answer toward what they're trying to achieve. What is the question that your audience needs answered? What is the problem that your customers have that is being ignored? It's funny, you look at like fast food restaurants, there are dozens upon dozens of fast food restaurants. You would think, okay, well, if this place sells chicken, then there's no need for another one. But the recipes are different. The frying, the cooking methods are different. Everything around, everything about it is different. What your sides are, so on and so forth. And but they're answering to their customers' request of something different that the other place isn't offering. So my question to you is, are you listening to your people so that you can custom make what it is that they need, or custom answer the problem that they have? That is truly the name of the game, and that's how you can cut out a lot of your workload, a lot of the pressure that is upon your shoulder. It's not that your product isn't good, it's not that you're not an expert, it's not that you're not prepared. It's truly, are you listening? What is it about you that stands out from everybody else? Why should they come to you instead of going to another place? Are you listening even to your spouse? What is it about you, beyond saying that I do, that your spouse should come to you, that they need your answer, that only you can answer it? Surely you can get a lot of personal things anywhere around the world. You can find companionship in anything. But what is it about you that makes you different and unique, and they should hold a respect and a regard for you? I think a lot of times we take that kind of stuff for granted. We take our children for granted. Instead of looking it up together, we just tell them to go on Google and Google it. Say "Hey Siri" or something, and let that go forth. But I believe that we are here to answer questions and to solve problems. What problems are you solving? Because it could be that you're hearing that this business needs to be open. You're hearing that, your spouse wanted somebody to be with and to mother or father their children. It's something different when you're listening and you're able to take your unique skill set and begin to answer those problems, answer those questions, and begin to solve those problems. I believe that you have A1 skill and ability to do anything that you want to do. It's really you having to buckle down, get disciplined, get focused, and do what you know needs to be done. Maybe you're in the planning stages of your life, and so you felt so much negativity that you closed your ears, and now you recognize sound, you recognize people talking to you, but you're not listening to what they're saying. Sometimes people are, it may sound like they're hating on you, but what they're actually doing is telling you that you have a blind spot that you're ignoring. One of my favorite movies is 300, and Leonidas is in the movie. He's encountered by this short guy who has some developmental disabilities. He has some extremities that's shorter, and he has a hump and everything like that. But he wants to serve, he wants to help his king to victory. And so the king lets him know that, in so many words, that you're not fit to be in the military because of your ability, your disabilities, and whatever, however you want to look at it. And the enemy comes and they bring him in, and they don't even offer him uniform and money and women. And he's like, I just want to put on a uniform and I'm going to tell you how to win. And so sometimes we encounter people and they're talking to us and they're telling us, hey, not only is this your blind spot, but I think you could take your product to the next level if you do this, this, and this. You know, if you hire these kind of people, you could get so much done. To my entrepreneurs, don't be afraid to invest in your business. And sometimes you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money in places that you may feel like you can do it on your own. But by you doing it on your own, you're actually losing out on more money than if you hired somebody to do it. Because the person who you're hiring to do the job is skilled enough in that that's what they offer to the marketplace. And they're there for people like you who want to scale their business, who are trying to take their business to the next level, who want to take their leadership to the next level and alleviate some of their staff of the worry and the pain and the weight that is on them already. And so, again, going back to the movie, so he helps the enemy out and shows them exactly how to win the battle. And King Leonidas and his people are killed and they're destroyed because they didn't listen. They looked at a negative instead of seeing the value that was in the negative. And I believe, and I want to share, I believe that you're watching this, you're listening to this right now, because there's an area in your life that you need some light shed on it. You need somebody to just say to you, listen, you're a good person, but can I tell you that you're not an effective communicator? Can I really be honest with you and tell you that right now, your biggest pain isn't the help that you have, but the biggest pain that you have is the fact that you don't want to let go of old things, that you treat people like the old person that used to be here. And so now everybody is having to suffer because of someone in the past. So I'm sharing this with you guys because I honestly believe that this is where you need to start listening, start really hearing before you really find yourself in a place where you're losing out on too much time and money, too much resources is gone, and you're embarrassed because if you would have did made that one slight turn, things would be so much better. I mean, you guys know the story of Blockbuster, but those of you who don't know it, Netflix offered Blockbuster to buy them out. Blockbuster said, nah, because everybody loves coming to our store. Netflix kept saying, well, listen, you see our market, you see we're targeting those who just want to watch movies at home, but they're getting into the DVDs, they're getting into the game rental system, and all of these different things that's on another level that you're not accustomed to. Like there's going to come a time when people are not going to want to go out, and we're going to offer them that service. Why don't you buy us out, because people know who you are and we can make some good money together? And Blockbuster declined. Well, you see now we're paying $20-$25 a month for Netflix, and the only thing that you know about Blockbuster is some of the buildings still have the name Blockbuster on it, but Blockbuster the building is empty, and Blockbuster the business is gone away. So You don't want to get to that place where you're at the point of no return and you lost out on a great opportunity to scale your business, to strengthen your marriage, to strengthen your relationship with your children, to go back to school and finish what you started. All of those things. Time is of the essence. And it's one thing that you don't get back. Once it's gone, that second that just passed, we're not going to get it back. And so you want to maximize every moment and every movement that you have. And it comes first by just actively listening to the people that's around you. Sometimes we think we're loving people the way that they want to be loved. And if we listen to them, we'll find out that they're not, that we're not providing that value in their life, that they know that they're in a safe and a secure place, or that they are in a position or in a situation where they can not only be vulnerable and be themselves, but even grow, that they can make a mistake and not be crucified for it. We are you listening? That's a question going into the weekend, starting out your new week. I know today's Friday, it's April Fool's Day. There's no jokes here. This is only, we're only increasing here. There's nothing but maturity going on this podcast. So I'm really, wanted to just speak to you on that level, guys, and just shit and just say, hey, are you listening? Are you really listening? Like, you know, are you listening to the people that's around you? Are you even listening to your body? Your body tells you stuff all the time. Hey, I'm tired. Hey, I'm hurting. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. And we give it everything sometimes but what it really needs. And then you find yourself getting sick and you're down and in the bed or whatever for 3 days. And you're like, man, it wasn't worth it. Like, I could have avoided this. I could have avoided this sickness, or I could have avoided this pain or this tiredness had I just listened to my body, had I took action on what it was saying, whether that's going to the doctor or whether that's just getting some rest. So I know that, again, I'm trying to find a way how to end podcasts. Like, that's so different, and I like watching Joe Rogan. So he's and I like also watching other podcasts like his, like Earn Your Leisure and stuff. And I say that because I'm always trying to figure out how to end the podcast, how to end my podcast. So without, with that being said, I don't know how to put it. You guys have an amazing weekend. Enjoy your April Fool's Day, your Friday. And we're going to see each other, or we're going to talk again on Monday at 1 o'clock right here, so that we can, what I'm saying, continue to increase. That's the name of the game. So you guys have an amazing weekend. Talk to you soon.